boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday school and Dhamma classes, parents, grandparents, and teachers of Buddhist Sunday school. May all be well, happy, and peaceful. We are going to have a story in a lesson. And the story is titled The Grateful Parrot. It is a children's story with a moral. The text of the presentation are in English and Malay, but the narration and explanation will be in English. Now, this simple children's story has very good moral lessons that we can learn. And at the end of the story, we'll have the very important slide where we summarize the very important moral lessons, or you can say Dhamma teachings. Now, before we launch the PowerPoint, as usual, we will check the setup to make sure it is okay. All right. And now let us launch the PowerPoint. Here you see the cover slide for this presentation titled The Grateful Parrot. You know what is grateful? Thankful, to have gratitude, to be having thankfulness for what you receive or what help that you have been given. Thankful to another person or another group of people. So this is an important story, like in the sense that we have good moral lessons. And you find that this story, just like in Jataka stories and also Aesop's Fable, I'm not very sure this is from Aesop's Fable. And this story involves the main character being the parrot. The parrot. Sometimes in Malay, people call it burung kakak tua, right? But actually it's burung nuri, I think, right? And then in the forest, you have all sorts of animals you can see here. The wolf, the deer, and then you have the peacock, right? Then you have maybe a rabbit or a hare, and many other animals may not be shown in this screen here, right? Animated screen. So the forest, you find many lovely animals living in harmony, in peace. So now let us launch the PowerPoint. No, we have launched it, but let us look at the story. So let us go to slide number 2 now. Now I'll read the story and then comment and explain the story as it goes along. Long ago, there was a parrot, right? And you know what a parrot is, right? There was a parrot that strayed into a forest on the mountain. Now, strayed means to wander and probably got lost and went into a forest on the mountainside. So there was this parrot. You can see this parrot here. And all the animals and birds in the forest were very cordial and hospitable towards him. And he became very good friends. Now, of course, you see that parrot strayed into the forest and met with the other animals. But the animals were very friendly, and very kind. A lot of metta, goodwill towards this parrot. So they became very good friends, the parrot together with the other animals in the forest. Now you can look at the Malay sentences and reflect. I will continue after you have read the Malay sentences. Okay, I think you have ready. So now let's move on to the story to see what happens. This is slide number 3 now. So the parrot stayed in the forest with his newfound friends for some time. Then after that, the parrot decided to return to his own home. The parrot does not stay in the forest, in the jungle. He has his own place elsewhere. Right. And so he said goodbye. And so he bade farewell to all his friends and left. You can see the animation, this parrot saying goodbye. And then the parrot started to fly home. Right? So, of course, he would want to go home. But at the same time, he also felt a bit sad to leave all his good friends in the forest. And the parrot was very grateful and thankful, and he was happy that he had made such good friends. And the friends had treated him well. They even brought him food, and then, say good words. In this story, of course, animals can talk, right? Yeah, so the animals communicated with the parrot, and some of the other birds there even sang songs for the parrot. And the parrot also could sing some songs for them. So it was a very happy and harmonious relationship between the parrot and all the other animals. Even the wild animals, the tigers, the lions, the panthers, all were very friendly towards the parrot, They did not harm the parrot. So for that, the parrot was very, very grateful. So let us see what is to happen next. So we go on to slide number 4. Now, in slide number 4, let us read the story first and then explain and comment. Time passed. One day, the forest caught fire and the whole mountain was engulfed in flames. Time passed, which means some days passed already. Did not say how many days. So, then the terrible incident happened. The forest caught fire. It started with a small flame. As you know, today also, in the world, in Australia, the bushfires. And once also, in the Amazon jungle in Brazil, big fire broke out and destroyed so many trees and plants, and some animals die also. It's terrible. Australia, the same thing. All right. So this happened last time and now also. There are various causes. Present day, it could be due to the carelessness of some people, Other people smoke and then, throw the cigarette butts around, and then the weather being very hot, this can cause fire. And then, of course, sometimes the weather is so very, very hot, and there are some dry leaves there, and then the temperature reaches a certain level, and some of the dry leaves catch fire. So can also cause a fire. There are various reasons. And some people go and camp nearby, right? And then are very careless, live around a naked flame, and then the fire can spread. So various reasons. So we have to be very mindful and don't do foolish things. So what happened was the forest caught fire. Wow, once the fire starts, it can spread very, very fast, and animals will be in great fear, as you can see in the animation. You can see the image of even a tiger, running away. You see the lion or a tiger, running away, very scared. And all the animals of the forest were trapped, isn't it? Trapped in the burning forest. They would run and run to a place where, there was no fire. It was so easy because the fire will be just spreading, you see. So many of them were in great danger of being burned alive. Imagine being roasted, and what a terrible way to die, isn't it? To die in a burning fire is terrible. Imagine being burned. You just touch a flame in the candle or even the matchstick burning. Then you feel the pain already. What more to be burned alive? It's terrible. And ancient times, you have people, they did foolish things of sacrificing other human beings to the gods. They burn the human being. And in certain countries, those days, there were, some criminals or people who had done wrong, and they were burned alive. Or certain people who did not follow the religion of that region, and then they were considered heretics and they were burned. So terrible, all right? But then it so happened that during that time, the parrot happened to fly past. The parrot, you wander every day here and there. Lah. So he was flying around and he saw the forest that he had been not long ago burning furiously with a terrible fire. Wow, the fella was very sad because he thought of all the good friends. The good friends were there and their lives would be in danger. So what to do? How to save them? So this parrot had great metta and compassion. So he also didn't know what to do. You cannot expect the fella to phone the bomba or go and call fly and go and call somebody. It was not practical. So then he noticed this forest burning so furiously, so dangerously, spreading so fast. So his heart was very touched and with compassion. So let's see what the parrot did. It was a grateful parrot, remember? Let us go on to slide number 5 now. So you know what the parrot did? A parrot has a very simple mind, but the heart is full of gratitude. So immediately he sped to a river and soaked his feathers in the water. So he jumped into the river, right? Could swim probably lah, and then made his whole body wet. The feathers were filled with water lah. And then what did he do? Immediately, sped means to fly very fast, to go very fast as the meaning of flag. So he then flew back to over the forest. And then you can see the animation. This one shows the parrot trying to put water all over the body. Not so accurate. It's actually a river, not just a pot of water, right? But difficult to find the image. But you get an idea, right? Then after that, the parrot flew over the burning forest. This one you can see the picture to let you understand. So then the parrot began to flop his wings. This is the way the bird flaps the wings to move the wings up and down. That's the meaning, up and down. So this way, when the wings are moved up and down, the water droplets will drop onto the fire spreading in the forest. So that was his simple idea to try to, let the fire grow smaller. That you could see here now is the deer all running away, right? So that's what he tried to do because his heart was filled with gratitude, right? So then after that, dried, he flew back to the river and then soaked the body again in water and flew back and repeated this. So he was hoping that the water droplets would at least help to put out the fire or to make the fire not so terrible. That was his good intention and good heart, to sprinkle the water droplets over the fire, hoping to put out. Well, it's not easy to put out, but maybe he was hoping also just at least to lessen the flames. So he did that many times, flying to and fro. Probably the river was not so far away from the forest. So the parrot began to fly to and fro, back to the river, soak in the water, let the body be covered with water, and then to fly back into the, above the fire. You cannot go into the forest now, above the trees, and then to flap the wing and let the water droplets down. So the parrot was making a very desperate attempt to save his friends. So his intention was good. He was having metta and compassion. So he was very desperate. He tried to save his friends. What could he do? Right? So let us now see the interesting thing is did his friends die? Did many animals die? Could anything be done? So he continued doing it until something happened. Now, what was that thing that happened? So let us go on to the next frame, which is number 6 now. At that moment, right, after he had done many times already, flying to and fro and dropping the droplets of water, there was a heavenly God. You can say a deva also, lah, right? Or in the Christianity, you have the angels, right? All religions talk about gods in the heavens, right? Of course, this is a story. But in the Buddhist teachings, there are actually devas, gods that live in the heavens. Some people can see the gods, but mostly cannot, lah, right? So at that moment, a heavenly God, you want to consider like an angel or a deva, is okay, doesn't matter, right? Important thing is a heavenly being, a divine. So he noticed, this God noticed, what is happening, The God knew what was happening, and he noticed, the parrot, trying desperately, really, desperate already, didn't know what to do already. And the parrot was flying to and fro, and to stop the raging fire. The fire was spreading in a furious manner. So then the God called out to him. Right? So the God noticed this, and then decided to stop the fire and call up to him. So what did the God say to the parrot? Hey, why are you doing this? Why are you so foolish? The fire has already engulfed. Yes, engulfed means to cover lah. Already covered a vast area, a big area of the forest. So the animals will try to run to the area not yet covered. But you'll be spreading there. So your attempt is useless, futile, you're foolish. How are you going to extinguish the fire with a little bit of water from your feathers? So the God asked, how can you go and stop all this fire with just a little water only from your feathers, even though you have done many times? You have flown to and fro. How can you do that? It will not be a success at all. You're doing a futile. Futile means a useless act. Why are you doing this? Then let us see what happens. What did the parents say in reply to the questions by the God, by the Deva or God? So let us move on to slide number 7 now. To these, the parrot replied. I told you in a story like this, the animals, the gods can talk. Other animals also talk to human beings, the Aesop's fables. But the important thing is the message. Right? The story is just a story. But the message is very good. It can teach us very good moral lessons. So to this, the parrot replied, how can I not know that this is futile attempt? You say, I know also that it is quite a useless attempt. But then, and then the parrot told the God what happened. Of course, as the parrot was doing this, that means going to the river, soaking the body with water and flying back, he could also talk with the God. And the God could hear, got the power to hear very easily. Then the parrot told the God what happened. That he was lost once in the forest, which could be a dangerous place with the wild animals, right? But he was so well treated. People were so kind. I mean, the animals were so kind, including the wild animals like the lions, panthers, the cheetah, the tiger. All were so nice to him, so kind. And my heart was so touched. I was so grateful. And they really consider me as one of their friends. So now you see, they are in danger. Their lives are in danger. I cannot just stand by and do nothing. So that's why I don't know what to do already. So I just do the best I can. I know it will be quite useless, but I'm hoping something can happen, right? Maybe the little droplets will turn into big big streams of water, something like that. Anyway, so that's what the parrot said. So you find an action like this, born out of kindness, born out of gratitude, born out of love, born out of compassion. So it was very good action. Good in the mind, good in the actions, and good deeds, mental and bodily actions will bring about good results. That is the principle. That's how we learn this lesson, right? So you can see this animation showing gratitude. That is this important theme. So the parrot was actually full of gratitude, very grateful and thankful, and he had this great noble intention of trying to save them, even though the step would you would think would be quite useless, right? But let us see what happens next. So in slide number 8, you see this thing happening. So the Deva, or the heavenly God, listened to the parrot very attentively, and the God was so touched at the gratitude and compassion of the parrot. No, you see, heavenly beings, the gods in heaven, they actually like people or animals or whatever beings that have very good hearts and do good things. The gods, all these, because they themselves became gods because they did very good things last time in previous lives. So now they are really fond of animals or human beings, all that are very good in character, with good noble qualities like love, kindness, compassion, gratitude, all those things. So that's why the God was really touched at the heart. So his heart was touched. Wow, this parent, so grateful and compassionate towards his friends who are now suffering the dangers of the fire, whose lives are in dangers. That's why he was doing this thing of trying to help. So, but that gods have powers. Gods, they have psychic powers. And in Greek stories, and even in Jataka stories, or even in Buddhist scriptures, there are accounts of gods with all the psychic powers. So this God had the psychic powers. So he used his psychic power, his awesome celestial power. That means the heavenly psychic power that was fantastic. You could work a lot of things that normal human beings cannot. But there are some arahants or human beings that who have developed the mind to a high extent they can do fantastic psychic powers. Like in Christianity, you have heard of Jesus Christ, a great being. Buddhists regard the Jesus Christ as a bodhisattva and who had cultivated very, very good, and he had psychic powers. And you have read accounts. Last time I was very fascinated by the miracles, so-called miracles of Jesus Christ. They just got the psychic powers. But the Christian gods, or Jesus Christ is not the Buddha yet, you see, right? But he was a very, very high bodhisattva. So he could walk on water, right? And actually now also, you have accounts of some Buddhist monks that can float in the air, and they also they are able to walk on the water. So because of the great psychic powers. So this God and this great psychic power lah. So he caused the rain to come, right? Actually, you find is this, wow, very strange. But actually, I've heard in present times, last time in Kelantan, my student told me, he said, teacher, you know, when there would be a football match in the stadium in Kota Baru, so, you know, the people would call the bomo and they would pray and pray, and then the clouds will gather elsewhere. The clouds will move away from the stadium and rain in other parts, but in the stadium area dry, I say, wow, fantastic, psychic power, So the mind, don't underestimate, can be a very powerful thing. And I read in books about research also that they have certain things like this. The mind can be very powerful. You have heard of cases, telekinesis, where the mind of certain psychics can cause the chair to move, can cause the objects to move, even the spoons and forks to bend, So if you don't understand, you quiet ghost, no. These are psychic powers. So this God had this great power. So probably he concentrated, he moved the clouds near over the forest area, and then the rain came, the heavy downpour of rain, as you can see. I put these two images there. The heavy rain came, and then the forest engulfed in flame. Engulfed in flames. So of course, so heavy downpour will put out the flames. Fantastic, isn't it? Interesting, huh? Only a fire, but then it could kill, so terrible natural disaster. But the rain also a force of nature, you could control it. And human beings now today, they use certain scientific methods, but quite limited, not psychic powers, but science method. They find certain areas very dry for maybe weeks or months, no rain. So they will fly using the aeroplanes over the dry area. You know what they would do? They call it seeding the clouds. They will actually release certain chemicals. Actually, they are actually silver nitrate, I think, right? So they will release these chemicals that will touch the clouds and so on and cause the rain to fall. They have done that in science. But this one is not using that method, using the psychic method, the mind power. So the fire was put out. So the animals that had escaped onto a safe area where the fire had not reached yet, they were safe. Otherwise, they would all also die, isn't it? Because the fire would spread to all parts of the forest. So because of this rain, the fire was put out and all the animals were saved by the good action, basically, of the parrot. And then, of course, the good action of the parrot brought something very, you call it miraculous, that the power of the God came and the rain fell and the fire was drenched or was put out, extinguished. Then the animals all could live happily in that safe forest again. And of course, the story ends like this. Probably the parrot also visited the friends again chit-chat so they all welcome him. And then the parrot told all the friends what happened. Right? So you see, it's a very simple story, but there are great lessons that we can learn. Right? And I hope you understand this story. It's very, very simple, right? And it is a story, but it has many, many good Dhamma teachings and lessons that we can think about so that we can practice the life lessons or the Dhamma teachings, and then many good things will happen. So we are now going to look at the last slide of the presentation, which only has 10 slides. And the last slide is the most important. So we will spend some time discussing the Dhamma teachings. The story is short, but the Dhamma teachings that we have are longer because I'm going to explain so that you can apply the Dhamma in everyday life. That is the most important thing about the presentation. If I just give the Dhamma talk, only maybe more than half will go to sleep. But then with the interesting story, you can relate to the Dhamma teachings. And that is the purpose. So now, let us look at the final slide. I hope you are patient to follow the Dhamma lessons after having listened to the story. Don't run away after the story. So let us now go to slide number 9 now. Oh, not yet. I put in the message given in the story. I got this story from internet and I changed the words around and then put in the Malay translation, right? So before my Dhamma discussion, we have this taken from at the end of the story, I changed some words. This story teaches us the importance of showing kindness and gratitude to others. Yes. Most important is the gratitude. Then the parrot was very kind, full of metta, isn't it? So we must always be mindful. So the parrot was mindful. When he flew near the forest, he could already sense danger there already. Right? He was aware of the surrounding. And when he flew nearer, then he knew there was a fire. You're not the gong tai tai type, flying around. Hey, got some smell of smoke, maybe you got some fire there, and then went off like that. That is not the way, But the mindfulness, very, very important. And the emperor was not only mindful, but thinking, he said, oh, the fire spreading, so, wow, all the animals in the forest will be suffering, right? So then, you see, in this case here, the compassion, the empathy. Empathy is lower than compassion, to feel for other people, to feel the suffering of others, just like compassion. Sympathy, just like pity him. Empathy is even higher than sympathy. I feel sorry for the fella. I'm sympathetic, but I'm empathetic. That means I really feel as if I was suffering, like him. That is even stronger. And then compassion, the highest now. I really feel for the person, the poor fella, really have empathy and then take some action to bring down the suffering. So connected these two words. So to those who have shown us kindness, we should be grateful. This also, the story has good message also, written by the author of this story. And then we should pay back. Pay back their friendliness, their goodwill, their help. So this was what was written, right? And you can read the Malay version of the translation. So the animation, you find emphasizing the important things for you to practice, show your kindness. You must have infinite love. That love is not the 我爱你,你爱我 the love, no. That is not the 爱 metta, no. 我爱你,你爱我 one moment you love this girl or the girl loves this boy, and then after that you find that your girlfriend has gone for another boy. Oh, your love turns into hatred already. And then you can even kill your former girlfriend and his new boyfriend. You hear of stories like this, isn't it? That is a low type of love. The highest one is metta. Very close to the metta is your mother's love. The mother's love is very high, right? So even the child has done wrong, the mother still loves the son. You have cases where the son did something wrong, criminal put into the into the jail, and the mother still visits and brings food for the son. Mother's love is very high, but the highest is metta, and the highest metta, of course, is the Buddha's metta, right? Loving kindness. So that is this infinite love. And then another very good quality is the virtue of gratitude. To be grateful, berterima kasih, membalas budi, terhadap mereka yang telah menolong anda. So kindness is magic, yes. Not only kindness is magic, metta is magic. Karuna, which is compassion, is magic. You can work fantastic things like in the story you see. The bird has so much metta and compassion. Metta is loving kindness. Compassion in Pali is karuna. And it's so very powerful, then what happens? In the end, the God came to help. Isn't it? It's a very beautiful point. This is the animation to show grateful to you. Let us now go on to actually slide number 10 now. There are three important Dhamma lessons that I would like to discuss with you so that you can grow in the Dhamma, you can practice the Dhamma so that you can be more happy, more joyful, and you have more wisdom. You have more mental peace in your life. Isn't that wonderful? The story just wants to make it interesting, the Dhamma teaching, right? That is the purpose. And actually, this story is not really my creation. I've adapted the story from one of the books with the title, The Man Who Became an Ox and Other Stories. So I took the contents of that story and made it to a PowerPoint and then did the translation by Google Translate into Malay, because I also post this at some of the Indonesian groups, Indonesian groups that are Buddhist groups. No, Indonesia, and Indonesia, Malay is very important. But also Indonesia is just like Malay. So that's why I translate, so there are thousands of people there, maybe also can benefit. That's why it's translated into Malay. So now let us look at the first Dhamma teaching we are going to learn. Or you can say also moral lesson. So what is the first one? Gratitude is a noble virtue to practice. Now, virtue is the opposite of vice. Vice means a bad quality. Virtue is a good quality. Right? Now, you have the virtue of patience, of helpfulness, of responsibility, of honesty. You have many, many good virtues. Like you study in Pendidikan Moral, you talk about nilai-nilai murni. Most of them are virtues. And it's very great, a noble thing to practice these virtues. And gratitude is one of them. Right? Gratitude, to count your blessings, to be thankful. But sad to say today, you have many people, young and old, who don't show gratitude, who are not grateful. Grateful for so many things. For example, first thing is gratitude to the parents. The parents have brought us up. They have, suffered so much to make sure that we can live and we have good education and so on. So, are you grateful? Do you show your gratitude? There are some, on Mother's Day, Father's Day, they would buy presents and then they help around the house for the parents. But now many, Papa, Mama, I want this. Why I don't have this? Why I don't have that? My friend has this, my friend has that. You find many like that. So it's not a good practice, right? And today, because of the lack of this religious teaching, and then for Buddhist lack of Dhamma teaching, you find also there is a rising number of people, young and old, that do not show gratitude. I know, I've taught 30, 40 years, I can see the downward trend. Right? They are not grateful in the sense that even thank you also they don't send once you receive something, a present or something like that. Yeah? So you find it's not a good thing. Right? They become more self-centered, selfish already. And something that I should, my parents should provide me this, my teachers also should have paid, they are supposed to teach, wow, that type of attitude, this is not good practice, and it will bring you dukkha, sadness, if you don't practice this. The Buddha already saw this. In one of his teachings, the Buddha said, he said, two types of people are very difficult to find in the world. The first type is a person who out of his good heart, right, spontaneous heart, is willing to do a good action, is willing to help and do dana. No need to ask, no need to call, no. Very hard to find this type of person. Very true. Today you see, even you ask, they don't want to do so many, let alone volunteer. That's why it's so difficult to get volunteers. Buddhist Association has experienced the same thing, So the Buddha said there's the first type of people very difficult to find. And the second type is a person who is grateful, a person who has gratitude for the things that he has, for the things that he receives, for the help he has been given, for all the good things that he has received or got from various parties, from the parents, from the teachers, from the good friends, from the monks and nuns that have taught him good things. So many sources. Are you grateful? So when you look at this, you say, then if you practice the good things, definitely it will be fantastic, good karma. There are meritorious deeds, and then you will have the good results. You will reap the positive results either in a later part in the life or future lives. You will be getting good things that reborn into good states like the heavens, or maybe very fortunate human beings. All right? So you see, it's a very important Dhamma teaching to show gratitude or gratefulness is a high virtue. And in the Buddhist scriptures, in fact, in all religions, even last time when I was following Christianity, so I was taught of the importance of gratitude. But today, they study political moral, but it's just to pass the exam and get the A's. How many are really grateful and show them out? And show it out. Show it out in so many ways. You are going to send words of thanks to people who have helped you, or remember them during festivals, send them greetings, wish them well, do metta for them. So many ways. I've actually done presentation, 8 gifts that you can give without costing anything. I've also done a presentation on that. So that is this first important Dhamma lesson. And this story reflects it very well, isn't it? That's why the title of the story is The Grateful Parrot. The gratitude that is emphasized. And apart from that, surrounding that, so because of gratitude associated, you have the kindness, the compassion, the metta, and so on. A person who is ungrateful, if I can become very self-centered, selfish, 主书, how can I say that? They only want to do things for themselves. Everything also, 我要的, 为什么我没有拿到的? He always thinking of himself. So how much does he think of other people? How much is he grateful and counting the blessings for so many things that he has received? We should consider ourselves blessed. We have food to eat. Even in pandemic times also, we have good food to eat. And then also we have a house to stay. There are so many homeless ones, And there are so many people, thousands and thousands every day dying of starvation, no food to eat in Africa. So we know how to reflect on this. So all the good qualities will arise in our hearts and mind. And that is a very important practice. Right? So that's how we reflect, so that we will develop our godly qualities. The qualities like a god, the gods are full of metta, you see. Kindness, that's how they were born. Last time also they were human beings. So they were born as gods. So therefore, when we reflect on this, I know, I must not do the bad things, I must do the good things. And gratitude is one of them. And then with the gratitude, you have the dana also associated. You're grateful for that, so I want to help back. I want to do the dana. That is good. But this is declining, sad to say. That's why in the world, you find there's so much trouble. In our own country, you find so many caught for corruption, right? Thinking of themselves only, right? And then some amassing millions and millions, so many multi-millionaires, and others are suffering, lack of food, no proper place to stay, and so on. So remember this very important lesson. Always, and the story will help you to remember, right? That's the importance of the story. When I think of gratitude, I learned in a lesson about the grateful parent. So I can tell my friends, this is very suitable for primary school. But actually for all. I have my friends who are following the presentation. They say they like the Sunday school lesson the best. I say, I also like that. Because it's just not the story, there's the Dhamma behind. So it's actually suitable not only for Sunday school and children or primary school. It can apply to all. So you must not be so proud and say, this one for children, very childish. That is very sombong already. Ego element. Right? So It's a very, very suitable thing for all parties, even the youth members. All right, but of course, I try to use simpler language because the dedication is directed towards the younger people, but actually all can follow. Now let us look at the second Dhamma lesson. I already told you just now, be grateful to your parents, teachers, and all who have helped you in kindness. Now, talking about grateful to parents, in Mandarin, you have 父母恩, right? 父母恩, whereas gratitude is 感恩. This is 父母恩. In English, you have filial piety, gratitude to parents, filial piety. But today, sad to say, you find so many children do not show this gratefulness or filial piety. When the parents are old, they send them to old folks home, hardly visit them, right? And then also, they're not patient with the old people, shout at them, scold them, and so on. Because old people, when they are old, of course, some of them become maybe long-winded, and then some lose the memory. All these things will come, and you, as a young person, one day will grow up to be like that. So we have to be more patient, isn't it? Because one day you too will be like that. It might be even worse. But people don't think like that. Sad to say. They just want to be comfortable, want to have pleasure and happiness. I cannot bear, cannot be patient and tolerant with the ways of the older people. We have visited many times the old folks' homes to do dana. Right? Those days I also used to follow many times. And I also in the Dhamma U camps, I made the students interview the old folks to find out. And in most of the cases, the children have left them. Don't bother about them. Some never even visit, that is completely wrong. No gratitude at all, you see. And the parents were very sad, you see. So you see, you have to be careful because if you practice this way, then one day something bad is going to happen to you later part in your life and even in the future lives. This, the late Achan Dhammabuddho, the Buddhist monk in the Timor, he passed away already. So he told me once, and he even asked me to put up a newspaper cutting that came out in the Chinese papers. He said there was this case of an old man and an old woman, right? So they got a son, right? So a few years before they pass away, they transferred all their property, I mean the house, or maybe some bank money and so on, transfer all to the son who married a lady who was not really a good daughter-in-law. So the lady was impatient. Last time was a good son, but now under the influence of the wife, he turned over. So the wife chucho him, I suppose, and then asked the son to get the parents out of the house. She said she could not tolerate right, the ways of the old people, dirty and then always talking nonsense and then not following certain good principles cannot hear properly, so people ask them. But one day she might be like that, she doesn't realize that. No patience, no tolerance. So the son, what to do? Listen to the wife. So change the parents out Right? Just got the parents out. Actually, this was the actual case. So the poor parents already, all the money no more already, transferred to the son and the daughter-in-law already. So they had to stay, elsewhere. They found a building, the certain building, people sometimes build the buildings and then halfway they didn't want to complete. So they went to stay there. So Ajahn Dhammabuddha was telling me that, this is terrible action. No gratitude to the parents. And then also, gratitude to teachers, to the good teachers that have helped you. I know that over the years, you find a decline. I'm not, of course, when we help, I don't expect anything, but just to comment so that the students will realize. Of course, we as Dhamma practitioners, after having help, we forget about it. Don't expect anything. But it's the duty, responsibility, and the good action of the person who is being helped to remember and to be grateful. I remember, those days I had students that were poor, right? So of course we maybe monthly will give them just a little bit of pocket money. That's nothing lah. And then later on when they wanted to apply to the university, got no money, right? So I help them to apply for scholarship. And then they get scholarship, but then they have to have guarantors, people who have to sign the legal documents, so that later on they have to pay back. If they don't pay back, then they will chase after you lah. So they have nobody to, they find it difficult to get people who volunteer, so they come to see me. The time I was still teaching, they say, okay, Mr. O, can you please be a guarantor? I say, okay, but remember to pay back, otherwise they will chase me, And there were cases, after graduation, everything got lost already, never pay back. So where is the gratitude to teachers? So you get the letters from the lawyers saying that this lawyer did not pay back. So actually all these things are happening all over. It's very, very sad. And then all those who have helped you in kindness. Of course, people come for help, and then if you can, we should give the help. And once you're given the help, there's that already, But actually, it's a duty and a good practice of the other person has got to help to really remember and be grateful. Of course, many will come to consult a teacher or a monk when they have a problem. When they want the problem to be resolved by you, then after that it's bye-bye already. No more word from them. It's common. We're doing this Dhamma Duta work for 30 years or so. You encounter all this. But once a while, you get some very, very few, right? Those really touch your heart. This will be like the parrot. No wonder the Buddha said, difficult to find one who is grateful. So I'm just commenting on you to see the reality, so that we hope when you listen to the story and listen to the Dhamma discussion, then you belong to the special group of people. Maybe less than 1%, but you are in that less than 1%, and you are heading for fantastic destination. You are doing the right things, good karma, and then that later on in life, if it's not happening in this life yet, it ripens to be in the future life, the next life. Everybody upon that will be reborn according to Buddha's teaching. Hinduism also like that, isn't it? Even Islam and Christianity don't accept reincarnation or rebirth, but they also talk about heaven and hell. So if you do something bad, you go to hell. If you do something good, you go to heaven. That's their teaching. But here we also have a similar type of, consequence based on action, isn't it? The law of karma. So, I have explained all this in detail for you, why we should have gratitude. And when you practice gratitude, you will see there is great joy arising in you because you have helped somebody, because you will help people, right? And you have relieved the suffering to a good extent of somebody. Maybe you have given counseling, you have shared the Dhamma with them, and that has helped them. So you feel very, very happy and peaceful. Today, you hear of so many young people committing suicide. I think the K-pop singers or dancers the famous actors and actresses from Hong Kong or Hollywood or what. They are famous. They have a lot of money, right? Popular. Can get all the things, material things that they want. The most beautiful girls or the most handsome man or whatever. But yet they commit suicide. Why? And one of the things is this, that they just looking and are looking to themselves only. That means 主述 means thinking mostly of themselves only. They have not reached out to other people. So I'm not saying all, but you have quite a number you have heard of also. So this is a very important point for you to consider. So the lesson of gratitude, so it's an important lesson. And I have explained 2 Dhamma teachings based on that, right? On gratitude. Right? Then we go on to the 3rd Dhamma teaching. This is an English proverb. One good turn deserves another. That means if somebody has done you, or done for you, or somebody has helped you in a certain way, it is a good practice, or you can say it is even a noble duty and responsibility to to reciprocate. To reciprocate means to do something good for that person. It's also like gratitude lah, but it's just an English problem. One good turn deserves another. And in the stories that I've read, there's so many that illustrate this problem. That out of spontaneity, very kind heart, so help somebody. There was this interesting Buddhist story about a young monk. He was following a guru, that means a senior monk. And the senior monk got psychic power, predicted that he would die probably in about 8 days' time. Right? Actually, the prediction is just to see the tendency. You cannot be certain still. But he could see that the karma is like that already. But it's not certain still, you see. You can change that. So then you say, the teacher told the young monk, I think it's good to go back and pay a visit to your parents. Gratitude, filial piety. Your parents, even though you're a monk now, but your parents will be very happy to see you and so on. So he said, oh, but then how am I going to help you? A very good young monk, grateful, and then all the good qualities he has. They said, no, you go back, right? Because the monk got this psychic power, he would die in 8 days. So he went back, and then he was happy to see the parents. The parents were very happy to see him. So the days passed, and then remembered, he always will follow, honest and responsible. The 8th day came already, so he said, I have to walk back. Those days, no taxis or cars or whatever. So he had to walk back a few, I don't know, kilometers or what, right? To go back to study under the teacher, the senior monk. So, but on the way back, so he noticed in a cave-like area, there were nests of ants, and these ants were there, and then nearby there was a river, and the waters were rising and would overflow the banks, and the water would reach into the cave, and then all the ants will die. So his compassion and his kindness arose in him. So he decided to try to gather some mud or salt and so on to build a barn, against the opening of the cave so that the water would not just go in like that he had a good intention to try to save the ants and then he did some other thing to build certain barn around the area so that the water would not go and kill the ants. So it was a fantastic act of kindness, compassion, and metta. So then the master at home waiting knew there was 8 days. So he waited in the morning. He knew he died. So past noon already, still no sign of him. Then the master knew that he would die. The master missed him a lot. He was such a good student, right? He really missed him. But then that is karma, he was thinking. Then after that, after in the afternoon, afternoon he saw this young student coming back, He was very, very surprised. He came back, he didn't die, So then the master asked him, hey, how are you? Then he told the whole thing. Why he apologized for being late. After, lunch already, he came back. Then he told about, what happened. He saved the ants and so on. So you see, a good action saved his life in the sense that extended his life, in other words. So it's very spontaneous, but don't do the thing of function and all those things. And then you don't know enough of the Dhamma, you do the thing, you kill them off, and then you do with the intention, I want to live longer, I want to kill my other one is wrong. But this monk, young monk, is just out of compassion and metta. Those are the parents. That's a good story, isn't it? So one good turn deserves another. Actually, in a way, is you reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. You get back the good things. Therefore, you have to do the good thing. Somebody does something good to you, you also have to do the good things. So that is this number 10. That ends the lesson, right? And maybe we have a look. So actually, we have ended the presentation. It is the end of the slide. So I hope you all have benefited. So to all of you students, primary or secondary or Buddhist Sunday school, Dhamma classes students, I say sadhu and thank you to all of you for having put in the effort and taken the time to follow this presentation, especially if you are patient enough to listen to the Dhamma until the end. Many will say after end of story, they close shop. But anyway, we hope they have learned important lessons. So to all of you, sadhu and thank you. And now let us put our palms together and say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Boys and girls, and then students of Buddhist Sunday School, teachers and parents and grandparents who are following this in order to guide the other younger ones. So I say sadhu to all of you. So may you all be well, happy, and peaceful. Take care.